My name is Brandon. I'm the producer of Flakka Z, and I've been developing it with Ian and Kate for several years. And we're excited to talk to you about the process of development and some of the challenges we've had.
Hi, I'm Ian Eyre, the director of Flakka Z, and I actually came on third on this project, and it's been fun developing the story with Brandon and our amazing writer, Kate McMahon. So we really wanted to let you get to know her.
Hi, I'm Kate McMahon. I'm the writer. I'm a professional writer. I've been writing for 40 years, corporate writing mostly. So a friend of mine sent me her horror novel to edit. And as I was editing it, I was seeing it as a movie. And I've always been in love with film. I'm a film buff. I love it. I used to be an actress, so it's very close to my heart. So I thought, well, you know what? I don't really know how to write a screenplay, but I bet I could figure it out. And I asked her, would it be okay if I did that? If I took your horror novel and created a screenplay for it, we could launch it at the same time. So I took some classes. I took a free class, and then I took a bunch of classes, mostly through Screenwriting U online. I did the Pro Series, and then I did the Masterclass certificate, which was about an 18-month program. And after that, I had 3 screenplays under my belt. And one of them I pitched to Brandon. So this is how this all got started. As part of what you do after your class is over is you market your script. And so I marketed my script to Brandon, and he said, not this one, but what about this idea that I have? And I thought, as I was going through those classes, one of the things that I thought about was, you know what? I would really like to be that person that the producer or the director or the actor calls and says, I got this great idea for a script, and but I need some help writing it. Or somebody that does rewrites. Mm-hmm. Because that's sort of like the basis of my writing up until that point was, not necessarily creating from new, but taking something that somebody else had and really polishing it. So that's what happened. Brandon had this great idea, and we went with it.
I'm so glad you did.
I think at the time I was a little nervous to write it because horror was not my strongest genre. And so I was looking for help, but we had a concept, we had some ideas.
And I hear you had $20,000 in your pocket.
Well, there was a company at one point that was looking to make these micro budget movies. So we were thinking, what could we do that's just a few casts in one location?
Exactly.
Kate, what were some of the things that you enjoyed about writing the script, or some of the things that were challenging about writing this script?
Sure. Well, I mean, you gave me, Brandon had like a 1-pager, laying out basic story, the characters, the location. And I was really interested in doing it because it was a contained movie, and I hadn't written one yet. And I wanted to meet that challenge. It was a cool idea. I liked the characters right off the bat, that I had imagined from, just the sort of the brief, intro that I had gotten about them. And I thought, Brandon and I seemed to hit it off right away. So I thought, this is a great opportunity.
I think I remember looking for projects for a long time, trying to fit in this micro budget mold where it's like a few characters, one location. And it's really hard to find scripts that fit that mold. I was on Inktip and Blacklist. I was, talking to friends, and everything gets more complicated. So we were really trying to figure out how do we make it as contained as possible.
Yeah. And there was I mean, we went all over the place for a little while. You know, should it be, you know, kind of like bringing in the supernatural, you know, like the devil, and, you know, I mean, it was just like, you know, there were just, it was great, like I say, collaboration where, you know, yeah, that works. But then if we really want to land, you know, sort of the theme, you know, let's keep it more down to earth and something that could actually happen. And with the drug use, you know, something like that could actually happen, somebody taking a drug and going berserk. And, you know, so let's kind of tone it down and keep it, you know, real in that respect.
And at some point, Brandon, you asked me for notes on the script, and I guess you liked my notes and asked me if I wanted to direct it. And I've directed a bunch of shorts, but I've always been, the stuff I write as a feature has too many locations, too many casts, and eventually the budget gets over $1 million and the producers ask me to step down as director. So I was excited to be able to, you know, this to be my first feature directorial.
And so, Kate, one of the things about the script, you know, there's this idea of some of the characters, like have this backstory with like telling a scary story in the actual movie. Where did you come up with this idea, or how did that go about?
Yeah, so they're sitting around the campfire because, of course, you know, you got a horror movie set in a cabin in the woods. You kind of have to have a scene where you're sitting around a campfire, telling ghost stories. So I thought, you know, what we really needed was we needed an opportunity for there to be some regular scares, you know, that would come from sitting around a campfire and telling a scary story, for the characters to have that scary moment. But then there also needed to be what really could be happening behind them that they're not seeing. And that was with the Mason character kind of stalking them and them not really being aware of it. So that the audience, you know, has that sort of omniscient point of view of we know what's going on. They're scared about this, but they really need to be scared about that guy. So that's how that came about, was just, you know, how do we get as many scares, sort of horror genre type scares, but also, you know, that would fit in with the story.
Well, I love that misdirect, because Kat is on edge because the boys are playing a prank on her, and then it turns into a real scare, but at first she doesn't believe it.
Right, exactly. And we know that she needs to really be scared, but you know, it's a moment for the characters to just have that horrible realization that this isn't my friends chasing me, this is a monster chasing me.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ian, when you were looking at the script, were there any things that you were thinking would be very challenging as a stunt coordinator with your background in stunts that you're like, I don't know if we can pull this part off, or you're like, or I know how to do this part? Did any of those lights go on?
No, I think the challenge was how do we, you know, how do I not go crazy with stunts?
Yes.
You know, because I want to keep the energy up, but how do I, you know, how can I be happy with not having more stunts? How do I not write in more stunts? I wrote in a couple of little ones that I figured, for instance, when they're at the kitchen window and Mason's outside and he smashes through, and at the moment that you think he's not going to, well, we decided that if there's no glass in there but just a curtain, we could add a sound effect of glass, and it'd be the effect of a stunt, but it wouldn't be that big a deal. So we tried to put in little gags like that, but not amp it up too much. And we'll see what we can pull off on when we shoot, because it's definitely, you know, I think we're underestimating how how physical the role of Mason is going to be.
Right. Do we have to have a stunt double? Do we have some of those type of scenarios?
And maybe instead of a stunt double, for budget reasons, we just switch cast with the stunt guy, but by this point his face is bloody and you can't tell we switched.
I love it.
Right. Yeah.
So much blood. What Going back to you, Kate, what were some things that were challenging about the rewrite process when Ian got involved and we were, it was becoming more real because we had a casting director on board at one point
Sure.
and we were talking to cast and we're, okay, well, we have to deal with this real revision, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and it's a double-edged sword when somebody new comes on because they're bringing their energy, they're bringing their ideas. They don't have the history of what you and I, Brandon, had already gone through and said, yeah, that's not going to work, or why we chose to do what we chose to do in the initial draft. So there is that challenge of wanting to be open, but also letting as the director that this is where we have been through this journey already. The things that you're wanting to add may be out of budget, may not resonate with the audience that we're intending this for, that kind of thing. But, wanting to take the good stuff and really run with that. And I think, did a good job of that. I think you brought a lot of good ideas to the table and got a lot of what you wanted to see was, some of the internal stuff going on with the characters that had to do with drug use. And then there was the religious element that you wanted to sort of hone in on and bring more forward. So I just wanted to be able to capture those things, but still keep within the, the structure that we had. But now that I mentioned the word structure, one of the things that you did bring, and it was maddening at the beginning. Honestly, it was very maddening at the beginning because a writer is like you've heard the expression, you got to kill your darlings. Well, when your whole script is your darling, and you've written it as a 3-act script, and then somebody says, well, let's make it the mini movie method, and let's make sure that that all of the turning points for each mini movie happen at the exact page. So we had an 80-page script, so there's 8 mini movies, so every 10 pages you wanted to have the turning point. And I was just like, oh God.
That was beat into me by a guy who used to be a story developer at Disney, and he was super strict, and they're like, why? But
well, and so that's what I'm saying. Taking it for me, for the collaborative process, it was like just what I needed, because this is what working in this industry is as a writer, you've got to be flexible. And so after I, dried my tears, I, set out to do just that. And I do like the mini movie method. I hadn't chosen it for this script because it's a little different with a horror movie with the mini movie method. It's more like, there's a death every 10 pages rather than the typical turning points in a regular mini movie method. But I think we did it. I think we met the challenge together, Ian.
Yeah, I think it's pretty tight. Yeah. I'm curious where the characters came from. I assumed that Kat was based maybe roughly on you because your name's Kate, but I could be wrong.
You're way wrong. Brandon actually had all of the character names.
I can't even remember. It's been so long.
Yeah. And there wasn't even any like where I went, nah, that's not really a good character name for that character. They all just seemed to fit. Maybe it was just that, I, having had them named already and sort of a rough idea what they were like, maybe it just subconsciously, I just, realized them already as those people and as those names. So you can credit Brandon with the terrific name.
Well, the characters are all very individual.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Was there anything that you were, when you were writing this, Kate, that you were like, I don't know how to write that part, or you were struggling with how to, like, you got stumped? Sometimes I get this idea and then I'm like, I get writer's block. And did that ever happen to you when you were working on this?
Well, I mean, I'm kind of trained, a trained writer. So I've been writing for 40 years. I haven't been doing screenplays for 40 years, but my day job, I'm a professional writer. So getting stuck is something that you learn pretty early on how to get out of. I mean, it's just, again, it's more the, your own personal, like, gut feeling about something that, you're so embedded in it. Then, when somebody wants to change that, it's more like, just trying to get over your own ego. So once you've done that, then it's just a regular brainstorming type techniques that I would use to get out of any kind of a rut. But we did go back and forth a little bit on, when Carlos would get the drug. I really didn't want Carlos to get the drug, period. I was resistant to that very, very strongly within my own being, because I wanted Carlos to be at the end, well, all through, but at the end, the audience would feel just the heartache of his loss. And I don't know if we want to have spoilers or not, but I've just given by making him, sort of like not an angel, but like a gentle giant all throughout. And so if he took the drug of his own accord, I just felt like, that's a step away from that. But so we did a couple of things, like we thought about, where he would just get the drug by accident, instead of willingly taking it. And, I think, so those are the types of things that I struggled with, and then figured out a way to resolve, obviously in coordination with you guys.
Yeah, we were trying to stick to the zombie genre, but most zombie movies have a contagion, and our movie doesn't have a contagion. So we had to have a reason for advancing the threat.
Right, and that's exactly right. You needed to raise the stakes, advance the threat, have more than one person out there as a threat. And I see, like I said, after you get over the ego, you see how that plays. And that played into this into the story, and it was a good change.
I'm really excited for seeing this come to life.
Me too.
We have a lot of work to do, and lots of questions to answer. And when we bring on cast and location, and everything will change again a little bit. And then when we edit it, it'll change a little bit more again.